Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Conversations in Pop Culture, and we are back in the saddle once again. And before I introduce my guest, I do want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by my friend Preston Poulter, who, if you go to pocketjackcomics.com, you could get 3 PDF free comics if you sign up for his email list. And Preston was graciously enough and nice enough to send me a bunch of his book, White Lily, issue 4 or 5, that if you buy from my eBay store until I run out, everybody's getting a free copy of this book. And I got a bunch of comics up there, including this right here, where in hollow foil, I bought all 15 of them. So if you want that book in hollow foil, you have to buy from me and only me, because I own all 15 of them. So links in the description down below, everybody. But enough about that, because I have with me Vanity, also known as WrestleBay. So welcome back to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me again.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to have you on, because we spoke, I think, 18, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was that
18
long?
months, 18 months. I want to make that crystal clear. Not 18 years ago, 18 months ago / almost 2 years ago. And obviously it's been a while and you've been up to a bunch of stuff. But before we get into some of the stuff you've been doing, I do want to catch everybody up on who you are.
Okay, well, I am the WrestleBay of professional wrestling. Nothing's really changed. Guys, just Google me, put in WrestleBay, you'll see it all there. But I am the cookie cutting queen. I'm from New Jersey, travel to New York, Pennsylvania, Texas, worked with a lot of big names. And yep, that's all.
Yeah. You've been busy. Obviously, you wrestled a lot of places. I know that you've wrestled for Warriors of Wrestling, New York Wrestling Connection, Queens of Combat. Is a few names. I think Excellent Professional Wrestling, Pro Wrestling Syndicate, and a bunch of other stuff that you've done outside as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to talk about, I think, like the last 2 years with you a little bit, because you've been busy doing a lot of stuff in wrestling that's kind of got some eyes on you. And I think it started with Shine, 72 of all places.
Oh my, yes. So that was a little throwback. I believe that was maybe around COVID or like after COVID. Or are we still in COVID? You know what I mean? But gosh, yeah, they asked me to come back and I revamped my image a little bit. I went against like Casey Lennox one-on-one. I ended up losing the match, but I got to debut my moves because at the first Shine that I was at, it was like a I don't know. I don't know what Shine it was at, but I didn't do any of my moves. I didn't hit the cookie cutter. I didn't hit the eat defeat. I just got beat up. They just said go out there. It was the worst match of my life, worst day of my life. But at this one, I got to cut some cookies and they're like, "All right, we're going to have you be coming back." And I was actually supposed to be there last month, but stuff happened. But they kept in contact with me still. But yeah, Shine's really good people.
Yeah, because that match, it was one of the last matches I saw from Shine.
Mhm.
And obviously I haven't been keeping up with Shine. I took a break from wrestling, but I do enjoy Casey Lennox and what she does. And obviously I enjoy what you do. And so
Yeah.
what, because that's down in Florida, and obviously Florida is a wrestling hub, and it is a wrestling, I guess, hot area where there's obviously the Northeast, kind of New Jersey, Massachusetts, New York to some degree is a hotbed. I think Texas is well connected. And so, what
Mhm.
is that like? Because a lot of women are down in Florida or come into Florida to wrestle.
When I got to Shine, actually it was Evolve. I did an Evolve tryout to get to Shine. And around that time, I think it was 2019, wrestling in New York, Connecticut, Jersey, Pennsylvania, everyone from down south was coming up here. I did the tryout, but around this area, the tri-state area, it started dying down with wrestling a little bit. So I feel like everyone went back to Florida, back to Georgia, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm still wrestling, I'm still here, and I decided to take some bookings down there. Like, why not just go down there? So I made family in Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina. The South, let me tell you, the South, they're dirty, but they don't know that up north is dirtier. Okay, so it was nice ruffling their feathers, but I didn't know what they were gonna do. I thought I
Let's
was
actually
gonna get
talk about
like
that. Let's talk about
Sure.
that because obviously a bunch of stuff happened in wrestling in
Mhm.
the last, I think, 3 years. I'm a big fan of uncharted territory. I thought, and I'll say this, and it might be controversial, but I'll deal with the consequences accordingly. I think one of the stupidest things that IWTV has ever done is getting rid of uncharted territory and taking away from Drew and Beyond
Mhm.
Wrestling. Because
Yeah.
I think bringing it down south wasn't bad, and I don't think in concept it was bad, but it was doing well
Yeah.
in New England. And I understand that they might have wanted to diversify, they wanted to shake things up. Maybe there was a falling out with certain things, but I do know that from my understanding, it was doing very well on IWTV, and they were putting on a great show every week. And after 3 seasons, but also that's something. And then because that's one of the first changes that I noticed. And then they brought it down south to Action, and a few other places were involved with that.
Mhm.
And then also you mentioned that wrestling kind of shifted where it started dying a little bit down, I guess, in the tri-state area. And obviously the South has gotten hotter. I think Texas has gotten hotter for wrestling. And what is that like? Because I don't think we live in a small wrestling world anymore, meaning that you can go to Cali, have 3 matches in California, and there are guys who do that, and girls who do it too, and then they come back to New York, and you can just hop on a plane now. I mean, it's not or drive down depending on where you're at. So, what is that like? Because it opens up a lot more possibilities.
I just think that people need to be very eclectic, especially the bookers and the promoters, the producers, whoever it is. Like, we don't want to see the same people. We don't want to see the same people versing the same people or have the same clicks or do something different like a storyline. So I honestly got tired of going against the same girls here. Love them to death, cool. But I wanted to work with other women, especially even with customs wrestling. And everybody knows what customs is, but we meet different types of girls. Like, all right, I meet Holodead, I meet Thunder Rosa, I meet Genocide, I meet Jasmine Allure. And it builds a bond in the ring too to have the dopest matches. And now you know who can fight and who can't fight. But once you're going against the same girls, like in the tri-state area, there's just so much that you can do. So when it dies down, go somewhere else. Travel, go to Canada, you know?
Yeah, let's actually talk about the custom stuff because I'm a strong believer, and I've said this for almost, I think, 5 years now, where I'm really big into media stocks, and I'm a media guy. I love
Mhm.
Peacock, I love Netflix, I love Paramount Plus, and I'm a user of a lot of these platforms. I love IWTV, and what I've said in the past is that media's future is based on accessibility as far as having access to it, customization completely, and big libraries.
Oh yeah.
And because I'll be very honest, it is very fun for me in
Mhm.
certain ways, and whether I'm getting a commission in a comic book or if I'm ever to do a custom wrestling match, for me to be the director and say, I want it done this way. I want these wrestlers. I want it this style. I want this type of match. And, I want a referee in there. I don't want a referee. I want a suplex, and so on and so forth. And, I'm going to use a phrase that might be slightly offensive, but the dollar decides how far you want to go.
Yeah.
Um, and so what is that like? Because it gives a lot of power to fans, and it fills a niche in a lot of ways. And it gives a lot of people the ability to say, hey, I want X. And I hate to say this, but I think customization is the key to a lot of things. And I think it's only going to become bigger because everybody has been delivered a cookie cutter item now. I
Mhm.
hate to say it, but WWE is almost cookie cutter. And
Yeah.
even on the indies, it's becoming very cookie cutter, where you can only come up with so many stories before we repeat them. And we've seen this in WWE multiple times in the last 3 or 4 years.
See, when it comes to customs, of course, the customer is always right. We always get that in customer service. But when it comes to pro wrestling or just business, there's always the guy paying and the guy that's supposed to be doing. And with my customs, the way I do it is, all right, you paid for this, but I'm not signed to you and I'm going to have fun. Bitch, you want to go fight? All right, we got these moves, that moves. You say this. Grab my hair. Look at the camera. I'm the one. If you have me as a custom in your matches, I'm the director. Okay, so I have fun with it. We're not under contract. It's not that serious. You can get as much wedgies, suplexes, cookie cutters, anything that you want. You can get it. I'll make it fine. But we're on my time. So I don't know. Everyone's different, but I have fun with my customs, and I've been with them for 10 years, ever since I started wrestling. So they seem happy to me, and they keep coming back.
So let's actually talk about this too, because and again, we're going to enter controversial territory. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I learned, and I'll mention a name, and hopefully we're all adults in it, and he enlightened me, Mike Quackenbush, and I know we're all adults in the room here.
Yeah.
If you know anything about anything, but what he said is that, especially about Chelsea Green, Chelsea Green had a calendar, and when Chelsea Green was on the Indies, her calendar subsidized her income as a wrestler. So now if she sold $10,000 worth of calendars in a given year, that really helped subsidize her between modeling gigs, doing other gigs, maybe doing a fan meet and greet, and doing wrestling. And so now that can mean that $10,000 that she might have done from her calendar, makes the difference between her having a profitable year or having a non-profitable year or having a good year or a great year. And that's how I view custom wrestling to some degree with a lot of women wrestling and even men who do it, is it can be a difference between a profitable year, a losing year, a break-even year, or even having a fantastic year. Because I think the wrestling business is very brutal economically. And from my understanding, you can knock out a bunch of customs in a weekend. And they're all shot in the same place. And I think that's something that people don't realize, is that, you can do 3 or 4 customs and it might be $3,000 in a weekend. And in order for you to do $3,000 as a wrestler, you might have to do 5 shows.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Maybe 6. Definitely. But let's just say I make friends with my bookers. I make friends with my producers. I always talk around because I'm always wondering what they're thinking too, because they're the ones that get the ball rolling. They're the ones that get the customers. They know who likes what, when, where, and why. So for some customs, it's not just like a custom match. Like we'll have like a web series, and I'm breaking bread with my booker that's gonna book me next week again for another custom, and then book me again because we're talking. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want? Should we get these angles? Who got that custom? Oh, okay, he likes this, he likes that. Sometimes you just gotta break bread and pick apart people's brains, guys. Even as a female, y'all can make money. I hate when people are like, you can't make money if you're not on TV. Okay, I've been wrestling for 11 years and I am very happy. But like, pick apart, you want the money, pick apart what makes people happy and you'll get the money. I used to send my first year doing customs, I used to send my 8x10s to whoever got whoever got a custom, and it brought people back. I had to break bread with them. I was losing money, but it came back even harder. And I was like, all right, I'll sell you my pantyhose. Don't act like y'all don't do it. I'll sell you my pantyhose. I'll sell you my panty. You want that? Okay. You know what I mean? You got to break bread to get more bread. So I was happy. Shoot. I'm not going to lie. I was happy.
Do you think that there is an issue where people who are creative don't understand business? Because I come from the comic book world and I speak to all these people, and I have never produced a comic book. I have no desire to do it, and I'm selling books and I'm making money. And I find it really weird when I look at a bunch of people creating product, doing some of the most amazing art, doing some of the best writing that I think has been ever done, and they're broke. And I'm like, do you not know how to make money? Have you not gone on Amazon and been like, how to make money as an independent business, and type that into the search bar? And I think that also, like, it bewilders me because I don't understand how I'm doing well, not creating anything, but I take care of my customers and I just have an idea saying, what does this person want and how do they want it? And my customers are more than happy. And
Yeah.
I think that there's just like a thought process where, and I don't know if that's the issue in wrestling too, where is it just that some people don't understand it and some people do, or because I'm just curious because I'm not in your industry, but I see like that problem. Like,
You know, I can't even, I don't even know how to answer that. All I can say is lie. Lie but deliver. Do you understand what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta lie and get the punchline out there, but deliver. Like just deliver. And I mean you could be truthful too, but where's that gonna get you? But
I,
like it's just business. It's just business. When it comes down to anything, it's just business. You're selling, buying, you're selling a move, buy, make it sexy, make sure your product looks up to par as to what you want it to look like, you know what I mean? So, like let's say customs, we had a rough night the night from traveling. We come in, we don't want to wear makeup. And I'm like, y'all bitches better put your lashes on. Uh-uh. Put your fucking lashes on. He's looking right at the camera. Whatever he's doing. He wants to be happy. When you go out in a regular match, you wear makeup. So, I know you're tired, but let's come on. Oof. But lie, guys, lie, all right? I'm sorry to break your hearts, but lie and deliver. Fake it till you make it and then learn from the process too. If you're faking it to make it, learn from the products. Pick people's brains out. If you don't understand anything, just listen. Just act like you're smart, listen and catch up. You catch up. Trust me. You're going to be hearing stuff and you're going to be seeing stuff and you're going to put puzzles together in your mind. So, you got to just help yourself. It's like survival of the fittest, right?
I mean, I guess. I mean, I've never lied in my business, but
Maybe
like,
you don't need a lie. I've been lying, guys,
oh, I
and
have
I
to
made it this
hustle.
far.
I hustle and I make things
Yes.
happen and I find ways how to get creative on solutions. Where somebody wants a book and I know they can only afford $150 and the book is really 170, I say, look, I could do it for 160, but if I'm to sell you these 3 books over the next year, you're going to be paying another $39 in shipping. I can cut your shipping to $14. And somebody's like, oh, maybe I can stretch it out a little bit. And so I get creative. I get
Hmm.
smart. I say, hey, look, if you're willing to buy this book and this book, I can do this price on it because I know how much I paid for it. And I know that they're a set. And I know that if a book's been sitting around for a while, so I hustle, I get creative. But yeah, I just think that I've seen it. I've seen it at wrestling events where somebody doesn't know how to sell their merch. And
Oh, they
I
better be
see
lying hard or doing a 2-for-1 deal. They listen, hustle. That's the other part of it too is hustling. You're right. Like, come on, you're your own salesman. You're your own merchandise. You're your own brand. What are you gonna do? Like you have to ask yourself some things.
Yeah, I just think that a lot of people just don't know how to hustle, and I also think a lot of people just don't know what the hell they're doing, and I've seen it, and I also think that there's an attitude. I mean, I've gotten attitudes from wrestlers. I've gotten things where it's just like, if you're a brand spanking new wrestler, you should be on everybody's podcast who asks you to be on there,
Oh
and
yeah.
because you know what is if you're on 300 podcasts and you're the opening match before you even film on a pre-show and no one knows who you are, but all of a sudden you've been on 3, 4, 500 podcasts for interviews. There's no way in hell you're not going to be asked.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
some promoter's going to say, "What the fuck? How did you get on 500 podcasts being interviewed and you've never been on the main show? Like, what am I doing wrong?" Like,
That's what they should be asking their promoters. And you know what? Test your promoters too. This is for the newbie wrestlers. Listen, this podcast is for the newbie wrestlers, the newbie bitches that are coming out. Lie and ask your producers, yeah, what's going on? You know what I mean? You like ask them like, what have you guys been doing? Where do you want your product to go? Because once you challenge them, honestly, like it gets better and better. It gets better. Like I used to do outside shows, you know what I mean? Festivals for free. Guys, I was passing out hot dogs and chairs and I was doing all of it. And then I was like, how can I be on a production? How can I have lights, camera, action, and pyro or something? But I just had to hustle and make it work and make sure, you know, I was changing something, some move sets, my hair, my look, asking questions, or I just listen. There's some days I don't want to talk, but I'm hearing the girls talk, 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 talk. And I bring it back home and I tell my girlfriends at home, yeah, the Texas girl said this. They said that. They're onto this. And I would try to help out, you know. It's all about attitude too, but when it comes to merchandise, hustle, lie. Don't be talking about what you got going on all the time too, and have a clique of friends that are making money and want to make money. Don't be hanging out with bums. I'm telling y'all, don't be hanging out with bums because they're gonna take you down. And like, think of a strategy of where you want to go and what you want to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I mean, I hang out with people who want to make money, and making money is a lot of fun. So,
Yeah, yeah. And if you're not hanging out with people, that's fine too. Don't hang out with bums. Trust me.
it's funny in which that I can figure out who's gonna make it and who's not by the questions they ask me now.
Yeah.
So I actually don't like being, if I ask certain people questions and they're proposing an investment to me, and I ask you 5 or 6 questions, they ask me questions because absolutely they should. I can tell whether it's a good or bad investment, and if I want a piece of it or if I don't. Um,
Exactly.
it takes
Exactly.
about 6 questions. 6 questions is all it takes, because if I ask a question that you should know the answer to that you don't, that's an indicator. That's an indicator.
Yeah, like you're already like categorizing them like where you at? Where you at? Oh, okay, you don't know that yet. You don't know that. Stay in your lane, but it's all
Yeah,
good.
no. It's funny. It's funny, and I can also tell when I should be approached and I'm not is also a red flag.
That
Yes.
too. Yes. Yes, especially when you know what your worth is. You know, like everybody has that ego trip of knowing what their worth is, but you know what level of where you're at, and don't go down. Don't oh my gosh, these Invisaligns in my mouth. Don't subject yourself to something lower than what you already are.
I'm a very expensive investor,
Oh,
depending
I'm
on what.
expensive too. No, I'm just saying I'm expensive. I used to lowball it in the beginning of your career, you know. It's good, like you said, to do the podcast, rack up some miles on your cars to go to an indie show that's like 3 days away in Ohio. You know what I mean? But once you start knowing your value, hike the price up or hike it up every year. Like, you know, we're not getting fed hot dogs anymore, ever. Never, ever anymore. But you got to know your worth. You got to know your value, and you have to let people see it too. Like we were speaking about the conventions, and I was like, should I even be sitting here? And then I was like, fuck yes, I should be. And I pulled up a chair.
It's funny. It's funny, right?
Yeah.
So I had the Bushwhackers on. I've had Chris Daniels on. I've had Adam Riches on. Adam Riches, for those who don't know, did all the Boom action figure covers of WWE.
Wow.
They look sick. I found John Crowther, who does a bunch of wrestling stuff and does all like the biographies. He did the biography for the Bushwhackers.
That's
So
dope.
I actually met him when I was slightly intoxicated on somebody else's show, which is really funny. And I didn't think he was going to pull off the Bushwhackers for me, but he did. So very grateful. I would have been happy if it didn't work out. I would have backed the book anyway on Kickstarter. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but not the point. But I've interviewed all these top people, and the point is that yeah, I belong. It's the
Yeah.
idea that you have to believe I belong,
Yeah.
and same thing with all these voice actors. Same thing with all these people. I mean, I got to interview Nixon Noel, who's taking Knox.
Yeah.
That was before she was taking Knox. Anybody knew who she was. So this was before she was on all these
What was
other
her name
people.
again?
Nixon Noel. It was great.
Yes, yes. Nixon
This was like
Noel.
when she was like maybe like 20, maybe
Yeah.
21. She just got back doing like TNA Impact. She was still in the UK. Like this was young Tegan Knox from maybe like 7, 8 years ago before anybody knew who she was. And I'm like, oh man, this girl's going to be in AEW or Impact soon enough. And then I saw her, signed to WWE. I'm like, oh snap. So,
Yeah.
but again, I act like I belong. It's a great interview. I got to interview Eddie Kingston too. Eddie Kingston, oh my God, that guy carried me.
Oh, Eddie. Oh my God. He was at my first Evolve tryout. No, he was at my first after Evolve, we went to Shine. He was there. Great man, great man.
He freaking carried me through that interview. I was not ready. It was like number 11, and
Why?
it was clear that I was a brand new interviewer and that I was still figuring out how to do interviews. And
Yeah.
he carried me through that interview. Like within like a few minutes, you could tell that he carried me through that interview. And it was bad. It was a very, very, very rough situation. It wasn't anybody's fault. It was just bad. But I digress. But fascinating interview nonetheless. But I do want to back out of this because I do want to talk about Texas a little bit and North Carolina because you do a lot of stuff with Title Match.
Yes, they have me busy. um, so for a title match or a ladies' night out, they run like these ladies' night out shows. Um, and he runs WrestleCade, which I have been doing some signings, but they were working with Booker T's promotion, Reality of Wrestling, out in Texas, and I went over there. I wrestled. I had a couple really good matches, except one. But yeah, they've been keeping me busy as much as they can. And every year I go out to WrestleCade and wrestle for them as well.
Yes. So what is that like? Because obviously, I mean, they are somewhat of a competitor to IWTV. They're a
Yeah.
competitor somewhat to Fight as well, but they're also another option where I wouldn't call it, maybe competitor is not the right word, but they do provide another streaming service platform and an over the top, streaming service platform. So what is that like? Because that to me is how wrestling is being watched more than ever before, where cable is somewhat dead.
Yeah.
I don't know who watches WWE, preferably on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. I watch a lot of stuff on Peacock. I watch a lot of wrestling. Obviously, IWTV is a streaming service. I watch some GCW that is streaming. So, what is that like? Because while you're not on TV, you are on the internet.
Oh no. Okay. Oh, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. When it comes to title match, I mess with them. I mess with them heavy because they've had most of my matches, and they post a lot too on their website, on their YouTube. You get free matches. They just keep every character in wrestling like the WWE network. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know. They just know everything. They know everything. Even the worst matches, the bloopers, the this, the that. They have so much backup on wrestlers that you always want to tune in to title match. If you can't find it, title match. If you want a juicy interview, title match. Where like IWTV, I haven't I haven't been on IWTV in a minute, but I watch title matches stuff because, I'm very, I don't know, I guess familiar with them more. You know what I mean? They have everything of mine, even stuff I thought was buried underneath the freaking. I'm like, where'd you get this? Where'd you get this? Like PWS stuff back in the day when I was a baby. And I honestly love that for my fans because honestly, there's some videos I don't have, but I'm like, yo, go down title match and you'll see it. You'll see it all.
What
You
what
know?
what what is that like? Because so I haven't said this, but I've been interviewing for almost 10 years. And I've been doing a lot of this live stuff for about four. I'm in video. Before that, it was a lot of audio only. But nonetheless, I mean, it is a very weird experience when I'm going to be fast forward 10 years, where I have 14 years of me on camera. And I have my own library and it's my own content, obviously on YouTube, on Facebook, some other places. Obviously, it's also there as well. And what is that like to go back 8 years and be like, oh man, they have that and it's obviously archived? because it must be a freaky thing, but it also must be really cool because it's like this is kind of your life.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that's how I feel. Like, I just asked myself, where did they get this video that my trainer was supposed to give me? And then I'm just like, okay, they have it for the fans. Like, that's so cool. My kids could look back on these archives if I have kids, you know what I mean? But my kids could look at these archives. My mom can. They have all of your stuff. And even when you put in the keyword like Vanity or WrestleBay, all of my stuff pops up. My championship matches, some custom stuff that I had with Thunder Rosa for Mission Pro Wrestling, all of the big companies that even I probably didn't know that were big at the time, but are big with title match and they fuck with title match and I respect them. They got everybody's back.
Because I just think it's interesting. And obviously, I mean, there's a lot of options in wrestling that you can pay for and get and see and buy. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people in wrestling, and it's kind of a crazy thing. And I mean, it's also, I guess beneficial because I don't know how you feel about TV, but I don't think TV is the future for wrestling. I don't. I don't think it's anywhere near. I don't think Monday Night Raw, AEW, Impact on television is the future. I don't. I understand why they're on cable, and there's a lot of money for that. But I think the real future is over the top streaming services like Peacock or Disney Plus or building your own like IWTV or Fight, TV. I really think that that's where the future is at because I hate to
Yeah.
say this, but like it's easier for me to turn on my iPad and watch something in my bed and pay $5 or $10 a month than paying $100 for cable.
Oh no, trust me, I totally understand. But people are still tuning into TV too, you know what I mean? Like people still tune in. And I've even done what is it, extra work. Sorry, the Invisalign, but I've even done extra work and I've looked at the crowd and I'm just like, all right, how many seats are empty? How many seats are full? I'd be looking, guys. I'd be looking hard. But when it comes to cable, I'm not gonna lie. People will pay the bill to sit at home and watch it. And they will pay to have it on their iPad too. So just support wrestling, guys. We need y'all money. Just support
Yeah,
wrestling.
see, this is interesting. I mean, obviously, you haven't been on TV
No,
yet,
I've not.
or you haven't been on TV in the sense that you, as Vanity or WrestleBay, haven't been on TV. You might have done some extra work that's been on television. You might have had a small little spot. You might have been in the hallway, but you haven't had a character, if that makes any sense, on
Yeah, I
TV.
haven't had a match. I haven't valeted, which I do valet as well. Like I could valet these guys without even talking, you know what I mean? But it's coming. It's definitely coming. And I do have a character, but maybe sometimes my character is too big for TV. But yeah, yo, I mean, as long
Let
as
me
something's selling,
let me
vanity's
ask
there.
this. Let me ask this though: is that do you feel that a wrestler needs to be on TV now in today's age? Because I've heard it from both ways, where people say, "Look, if you are on TV for 3 years and then you go off into the indies, you have all that shine and clout on you, and that's great, and then you can go and wrestle on IWTV and have a really, really lucrative career." I mean, I'll throw a name out there that I think is a safe name to throw out. Alex Shelley is probably a really good example of that, where
Mm,
Alex Shelley does a lot of shows that are streamed, but he's also with Impact, and
yeah.
Impact is on TV. And so he's been on TV. He also does stuff that's just internet exclusive, like, wrestling for, shoot, I can't think of the company out. Prestige. Prestige is the
Mm,
company out in Cali. Great, great company. They've been on some seriously crazy matches. The freaking Davey Richards and freaking Aleister Black or,
yeah.
or Malik or whatever his name is.
Malachi.
Malachi Black it was insane. That match was sick. It's like 15 minutes of chain wrestling. It was sick. It was one of the best matches I've ever seen. Um, there was like no high flying spots, and it was like at 2 in the morning, and I'm like, I have work tomorrow, but this is really good.
Yeah.
I have work tomorrow, but this is really good. But going back to the question, do you feel that wrestlers need to be on TV, or do you think that we're in a different environment? Because I know that you want to be on TV, but I don't know. Because I've heard it both ways. Where I've heard wrestlers make so much money and said they don't want to go on TV. I think Effie doesn't want to be on television.
Effie?
I don't think maybe his position has changed, but
Oh, if they gave him the spotlight, I would definitely love to watch that. You know what I mean?
I would love to see him too. But I
Yeah.
think he's making so much money with Effie's Gay Brunch. I think he's
Yeah.
making so much money selling his merch. I think he's making so much money. And look, I love Effie. He
I
came on
love
the
Effie.
show.
Yeah.
He's great. He's a nice person. I reached out to him. I thought it was going to be a no. Who would ever think that? I'm like, this guy is bigger than life, and
Yeah.
he's not going to say yes. He's like, oh yeah, of course.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's good. I don't think you have to be on TV. I don't think you have to be on TV to make it. But at the same time, that's something they would have to ask themselves, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people, even from like New York, PA, and we think we're all tough. No, I don't want to be on TV, da, da, da. And they're signing contracts, and it's their time. It depends what your time is. Like, you remember how we were talking about leveling up and getting to know stuff and picking people's brains? I feel like you get to a point where you start networking, you start knowing some people, and then it's your time. Like, hey, you got this opportunity. Do you want to take it? So it's all up to you. But like, some people get their first match and it's a hit. Some people are jobbers. Some people get out there and they're valets. So you just got to be prepared. You got to
Do,
be prepared.
do you also feel that if you go to a place like AEW or you go to a place like WWE, those are the two biggest TV places. Impact is a third. Ring of Honor might be also sort of around Impact, maybe even being top in OVW. And there are others. There are others. GCW, you could argue, is sort of somewhere in there, especially with their schedule, but that's still really over the internet. But and there's some others out there, but do you also feel, though, that just because you got a match on TV or you have a year contract, that's not set in stone either?
No, it's not. Nothing's ever set in stone.
Very few people have legacy contracts. What is there, like 10 in WWE right now?
Yeah, I think so.
There's 10. There's 10.
Yeah.
And if anybody can name the 10, be my guest. If you don't know who the 10 are, then you really need to bone up on your history in wrestling. The two are obvious. Two are obvious. Randy Orton, John Cena.
Yeah. The OVW alumni.
And I think you can make an argument. Seth Rollins is probably a legacy now.
He's going to be, definitely.
I think Roman Reigns, you could also say that.
Are any of women? They're probably going to have Becky up in there.
I think Alexa Bliss.
Oh, okay. Yes.
I would make an argument: Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
And then there's some others. There's some others who are up there
Doesn't
too.
X-Pac have one? X-Pac has a legacy, I think.
Oh, but X-Pac. I'm talking more of just people
like now,
who could ever be fired from that company now. Who are maybe legacy is not the answer, but are lifers in WWE.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes is technically a lifer, but he's also technically not.
I feel like Owens and who is it? Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
I can see that.
The Usos are probably lifers, but there's not a lot. There's not a lot where you would have to do something severely wrong. I watched Cody Rhodes' documentary. He was legitimately sipping whiskey, put Gatorade over it, and he couldn't get fired.
What was he doing?
He was getting drunk at work and he couldn't get fired.
Why?
He wanted to get fired from WWE because he was miserable.
Dang. Oh man. See, that's what breaks my heart. Yo, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real because I only know real. That's what breaks my heart is like you wanna get there, you get there, you do, you're trying and you're doing, and then you're like, fuck this, get me out, mom. And then she's like, no, stay there. Like, we need the money.
Cody was making probably 1.5 to 2 mil a year. He was a legacy. Same thing with Goldust, and he was miserable.
Oh
and
my
it's crazy. It's a crazy circumstance because I'm just like, how bad does it have to be that you're just miserable in where you're at and you're working for a company? I mean, we can make the argument about Sasha. Sasha was probably making good money and she
Yeah,
was probably miserable. She's
I
probably
know.
miserable.
It's just
Um,
the mental anguish doesn't amount to any money. You know what I mean? Like, I want out now. I want out.
I mean, if somebody wants to write me a check for $7 million, I will
But
take
yeah,
all.
see, that's the but for me. Like, all right, get me out, but how
Oh,
much?
oh,
How much?
I have no problem admitting it. I can be bought. I can be bought without a doubt. No problem. And this might put my presidency run at stake here, but I can be bought. I can be bought. There's no question about that. I'm straight up honest. Where if somebody wanted this show, I could be bought. I can be bought. I can be bought to say anything and anything you want me to say.
See, I'm just
Um.
saying this now. Maybe tomorrow I won't be bought because I'd be changing my mind. But for how long can I be bought? You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
oh,
3 months,
oh, oh.
4 months,
I mean, I could be bought for a while.
year,
I mean, it all depends.
2 years. I could do 2 years, maybe 2 years, but I'd be itching to get in the ring again. But at the same time, all of these superstars, they're training, they're with their buddies, they're just behind the scenes. Get paid. Get paid.
See, that's the thing that I think everybody forgets. And again, I come from comics where there's a point where it's great to create and be in the ring and be a wrestler. But there's also a point saying you can't do this forever. There's always somebody who's coming up who's fitter, stronger, better than you. And isn't it time that at some point you get paid and you make a lot of money?
Mhm.
I don't know about anybody else in the room here and who's going to see this, but yeah, I would love to have a nice payday of 10 million
Yeah.
because I'll give up 5 years of my life working and being somewhat miserable. But if I got paid 10 million, all of a sudden your life dramatically has changed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Get
So
started on your house already.
you can do a lot more than that. It
Yeah.
will set you up because guess what? After you do your 5 years and you made 10 million, you can do whatever the hell you want to do because money is not an option. And it's not an
Exactly.
It's not
That's
an obstacle, and
important.
I think that that's part of the problem with
Mhm.
wrestling right now is that it is pricey to do this. It is expensive from what I hear. I've seen a bunch of wrestlers talk about the whole what is it, and we'll mention another one, CCW, not paying people, getting a little creepy, getting a little freaky. I guess I'm not exactly respecting women wrestling. That might be a good way to put it as well.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know the whole story. Lufisto had a problem with them, and she shot for 45 minutes on this show. On
Yeah,
that,
yeah. I
that
heard
was
about
that
that.
was that was 2 years ago. I want to say.
Mhm.
Um, cool interview. Never did a shoot interview. Never did a shoot interview. I've only done one. And that was with her, and it was really cool. It's a really cool interview, but clearly they have a problem, and so yeah. Um, but yeah, so it's just one of those things where it's just like this is a tough business, but like, yeah, getting paid.
Yeah, yeah, it's a tough business because, like I said, I could be bought. Like, I love Lufisto. I respect her 100%. But, you know, I am a wrestler and I do still have a look. But trust me, if you buy me for that look, I do not care. Like just as long as you're happy, I'm good. But you know what I mean? You know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I do want to back out of wrestling because wrestling is not the only thing you do. Obviously,
Yeah.
you've done a few other stuff outside of wrestling. I think
Yes.
modeling. I think you've done some dancing. Obviously, I think you've done a bunch of wrestling meet and greets. I think you've done some stuff with creativity and I guess paid projects might be a good way to put it. Such as
I
music videos, and some other stuff. I didn't want anybody to think dirty thoughts here. I was just trying to get a whole encompassing thing here.
yeah.
But what is that like? Because that's the other side of wrestling too. Is that I think people forget, and that what we're touching on is that there's what's in the ring, but then there's the other stuff outside the ring, which is going to cons, doing the meet and greet. It's also doing modeling because it touches upon what Chelsea Green did with her calendar. Putting together a calendar of all the photos she took that year and having that in play, doing some modeling for a magazine or a photo shoot or a
Hmm.
company they want on their website and being paid for that.
Hmm.
because again, subsidizing your income as a wrestler, I think, is a really, really important skill. And being able to do that is beyond important at this point.
Oh, for sure. I just try to, like I said, I try to network, get to as many places as I can, and especially the money, money, money. I try to do behind the scenes. I model. I talk to my fans. I'll hit the live thing on Instagram once in a while and just talk to them for 5 minutes and then cut it, you know? I'll be very random. I am the randomest of them all. People would be like, "Oh, I didn't know you were gonna be here," and I'm like, "I know, trust me, I know, but I'm here." So if I could advertise something, I definitely will. But wrestling, when you're not signed or when you're an independent artist, have fun now. That's what I'm trying to do now is have the most craziest, safest fun right now. So when I do get signed, I could be like, all right, I let it all out. I did this with these fans. I went to freaking WrestleCon. I did this. I was at the 2300 arena. I was twerking on the wall, which everybody sees on my Instagram because I didn't want to write my name on that damn wall. I wanted to twerk on it. But like go crazy, have fun, but make sure you're making your money or you're just losing value.
Fair enough. I agree. I agree. I mean, at this point, the way I see it is that because I've heard that, and obviously, I would like to get paid. And what I've learned is that people don't want to pay for media. People don't want to be support of this show. So I said, cool. I'm gonna pick whoever I want to interview, and I am very selective on my show. And
Yeah.
plenty of people now who I have no desire to interview, and they know full well I have no desire to interview them because I'm just like, you're not really fitting my niche, or you don't want to be supportive, and I don't really want to interview you. And so
Yeah.
I'm at a point right now where I am legitimately saying, fuck this, where if I don't even, and it to some degree makes me more valuable. And it
Yeah.
will get a point where I will make more money by being massively selective. And I'm taking a Joe Rogan, more like Howard Stern approach of saying, look, this is my show, it's my playground. And I can do
Yes.
whatever I want on this show,
Yes.
and
That's
you
what
can't touch me.
that's the energy that you should be bringing from now on. You know what I mean? That's how I am. But like you're just trying so hard in the beginning to do whatever XYZ and then you're like, "Hey, I've spent money on this and I'm trying to network." And then you're just like, "Fuck it. Like let's just have fun with it. I'll do whatever the fuck I want." And I think when you have that breakthrough, that's when things start looking up.
For me, it took me a while. It took me 10 years. I tried doing it the first way. I then
Yeah, the
tried
humble way.
I then tried out into the community saying, hey guys, $10 gets you a spot on my show. Got a lot of pushback for that shit. And then I just said, fine. I guess you guys have all spoken, but now this becomes completely curated.
Oh
It
yeah.
becomes gate kept. So my show is openly a gatekeeping show. And
Yeah.
and it sounds mean when you say it that way, but it's anything but mean in that regard, because I control it and that's where I'm at. So it is what it
Right.
is. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. But yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
Business is business, baby.
It is. It is. It absolutely is. And I am
Yeah.
100% in agreement that business is business.
Mhm.
And so that I agree to. Um, but yeah, and then obviously I do want to touch upon one more thing before I give you a chance to promote yourself. And we kind of touched upon it, but I am curious how you feel about this. Is that where do you think wrestling is going? Because obviously we had the pre-COVID era, then we had the era in COVID, we had the era coming out of COVID, and I think we're past the COVID era. I could be mistaken. I think we're past it. I think things are somewhat normal. But New York Comic Con just happened in the tri state area.
I
And
know, and I missed
COVID,
it.
COVID was rampant through that thing. And I know a bunch of people who have con crud. I know a bunch of people who are sick. I know a bunch of people who have issues. And it was a good con, but it was problematic with whatever
Mhm.
COVID, the flu, the common cold. some other pathogen. I don't know, but where do you think wrestling is going? Because the world isn't normal still.
I feel like these little indie shows that like the people that don't want to be signed anymore, they're going to go home and they're going to be at these indie shows. They're going to just pop up and get into the ring and show out with new independent workers like us, you know what I mean? Where TV, you know what? You're probably right. Where I don't have to be on TV anymore. I don't have to get a contract with who, what, when, where, and why to have that dream match. Like just this past weekend, I think Taya Valkyrie was in the ring with Ronda Rousey and oh, I forgot her name. The
Maria,
guy's wife.
yeah.
Yeah,
Ron's
yeah.
wife.
They were all in the ring together and I'm like, is that freaking Ronda Rousey? And guess what? I think Joey Janela had a match a couple years ago where Topanga was just in the crowd, just watching, you know? You remember that in Cali? And then who else came? Wasn't it the guy from Home Alone? Macaulay Culkin was like in the crowd. And then freaking like the people that are on TV now, like the Samoa Joes, the Sami Zayns, even the Roman Reigns, they're gonna want to take a break and they're gonna want to see what we're doing. They're gonna pop up. Hey, maybe you might interview them and be like, "Yeah, we're reporting live now, motherfuckers." So I feel like wrestling is gonna be growing in a different way, where it's not just on TV. You know what I mean?
No. I think the whole thing is going to change. I mean, I'm a strong believer that I think sports. I think the NBA is going to be a streaming package. I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to stay on cable. I actually think cable is going to die in the next 5 years.
You think
Because
so?
without a doubt, I'm willing to put real money on it. Real money. I'm
A
willing to put.
$100. Yo, my cable is like 150 a month. I'm
I'm,
like,
I'm, I'm willing to put $1 million that I think cable will be dead in 10 years
you know, I hope so.
at the
I hope
maximum. At the max. I'm not certain. I'm not certain on it because that doesn't mean these cable companies are going to be dead.
yeah,
That
yeah,
that just means that cable itself is because Comcast owns NBC and Peacock.
yeah,
So newsflash, they're a pretty big cable provider, but they own Peacock. So they'll just move to FiOS internet and they won't put a cable modem into your house anymore. You'll just buy internet and then you'll just get Peacock and all your shit on streaming.
yeah,
That's where it's going. Because once sports leave, that will be
yeah,
the cable. Once MLB, football, and the NBA leave, nothing against any other sport, guys, but those three sports are the main driver. Golf and tennis are secondary. So once
yeah.
those five leave, you're shit out of luck.
Okay, I see
Because
that happening. But yo, like I feel like the people that are gonna be on TV are gonna want to know what the indie workers are doing. Even music wise, a lot of people, a lot of wrestlers are into music too. So I mean, I don't know. I think the indies are gonna be booming. The indies are always booming. I'm telling you guys. We have no contracts. Pull up to a show and we'll give you a show. You know what I mean? Talk to your local wrestlers. Don't be afraid. And yeah.
yeah, no, I agree. I agree. It's fascinating, but I'm just always curious because I am a consumer and I look at it from a very different angle as an investor and as
Hmm.
who's a podcaster and as media versus a wrestler who's in the business and who's doing the miles on their car and is taking the flights is obviously going to have a very different or potential different insight than I will have because I'm looking in and I'm also looking through filters while
Right.
you're actually in the ring. So
Yeah.
there's a difference on how I view it, and you will see it. But I don't disagree. But I do think what's going to happen is that it could very well be that somebody like Seth Rollins, or I mean, Seth Rollins has a bunch of students probably on the Indies.
Yes, he does at his school. Yeah.
So there you go. So that's what that is. But I think you have to get out of here soon. I think you do.
Oh
So
yes.
so I do want to give you an opportunity to promote yourself. I am very conscious of your time. So where could people find you, bother you, hit you up on social media, check out your matches, buy your merch, all that fun stuff?
Okay, guys. Well, everything will always be at WrestleBay, at WrestleBae. And my name is obviously Vanity. I have a show this upcoming weekend in Wisconsin for Raging Pro Wrestling. I believe Casey Lennox will be there, Tessa Blanchard, a couple good heads. But if you have any questions, just hit me up on Instagram at WrestleBay or on my email at WrestleBay@yahoo.com.
Yeah, and then I've been saying it for a while, and I'm going to say it again. You have to support indie wrestling. And
Yes.
what that means is you should, go to indie shows. When you go, you should obviously buy a ticket. You should, obviously cheer, boo, whatever you want, engage. And then if you feel so inclined with your favorite wrestlers, you should buy their merch at a show. But let's say that you're not at a show or you live in California and your favorite wrestler is not going to be there for a while, you can buy their t-shirt online. Is a secondary best option. If you don't already have their t-shirt, and if you do, well, you get bonus points. You should buy it again. So all jokes aside though, obviously you should buy wrestlers merchandise if you're at a show. If you're not at a show, obviously most of them have a pro wrestling tees or some other type of store similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they don't have it, you can be like, hey, really like what you did. I'm a huge fan. I'm in California. Do you have a t-shirt or do you have merch? I would love to Venmo you some money. Chances are for a t-shirt, chances are they're like, oh yeah, of course. I'm more than happy to send you a t-shirt. It's $25, great. And then obviously following them on social media is very helpful as well.
Yes, always slide into your favorite wrestler's DM, even if they say no, no, no. Always say hi, whatever you're looking for to help out, because they will answer. Trust me.
Also remember, sliding to somebody's DMs can be a lot of fun. Then this show is sponsored by Progressive. We can't stop you from becoming your parents. But we can't save you on auto insurance. No, this show is not sponsored by them. But anyway, it would be a great sponsor. It'd be a great sponsor. I would totally sell their insurance. Again, I could be bought. But I digress. But yeah, definitely supporting wrestlers is always good. And then as far as I'm concerned, my stuff's down below. I am Pop Anime Comics on X, Twitter. Please follow me there. Instagram, Pop Anime Comics. Facebook is Pop Anime Comics. So if you type in Pop Anime Comics, my stuff will show up on YouTube, guys, on Pop Anime Comics. So that's a big one right there as well. Very important to do that. Check that out. And I got like 1,200 videos. So that's something to look for. Almost 700 interviews. So there is something for everybody on my show and on my channel. So I appreciate all that. And maybe they store Pop Anime Comics collectibles as well. So you can get this book right here. There's only 15 of them. So go buy it, guys. Go buy it. 15 hollow foil. It's a little pricey. So that's all I have to say. And on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
Guys, I don't have a final word. Just remember to lie, okay? Lie and make it and make your money, all right? I love you guys.
Well, I don't think I could have said that any better myself, everybody. And that is